Nobody starts at the finish line. You have to start somewhere. In order for you to get to where you're going, to meet that destination, you can't think that you're going to get there instantly. Welcome to another episode of the Mr. Mindful Minute podcast, where we touch on different things, on different areas of life, on how we could go from a nothing place to a something place. And right now we are touching on accountability, because sometimes we just need to be held accountable. And accountable to what? It's so many different areas of life that we need accountability for that we don't even realize that gets unnoticed. We'll hold accountability towards maybe our eating, or to maybe towards how we're spending money, right? But do we take accountability on how we're treating ourselves, on our mental space, on our peace of mind, on gaining clarity on why we respond and why we do the things we do? Do we hold ourselves accountable on doing better, or do we just say, I'm going to hold on to things that I don't like and to things that have not been working, but I'm going to continue to do them because doing the work to improve it is actually too hard? And so sometimes we fall into that category. Sometimes we fall into that limbo place where we're just like, I don't want to do the work because it's just so much easier for me to stay the way I am. And honestly, if you're fine and you're comfortable with where you are in life, with any category that it's in, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, sexual, financial, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're okay with where you are, then fine. Because understand, that also means that if you're not willing to do the work, then you're also not going to complain about it in no way, shape, or form. You're not going to, one, complain about it to yourself. You're not going to, two, complain about it to others. So now, because you are like, I'm okay with where I'm at, I'm good, which that's okay, but you're also not going to do those things. But here's the thing. Sometimes we don't be okay with where we are. Sometimes we do want to do better. Sometimes we just don't know where to start. Sometimes we're just so overwhelmed with how much work we believe that there has to be done that we don't do anything. And so because of that, we are going to go over a few tips, a few ways that can actually help us to hold ourselves more accountable, because this has nothing to do with holding somebody else accountable, because sometimes we'll hold other people accountable way more than we hold ourselves accountable. Oh, I'm not going to allow you to talk to me that way, but we talk negatively to ourselves. Oh, I'm not going to allow you to treat me this way, but we treat ourselves a certain way. Oh, I'm not going to allow you to present me with certain information because it's just negative. I don't have nothing to do with it. But we allow ourselves to feed ourselves negativity, even though we have nowhere to put it. And so understand that when we start saying, I'm going to do the work, now we could go from a nothing place to a something place with holding ourselves accountable and doing the actual work. And so one of the first tips that we can actually take is writing down the problem. See, sometimes when we don't write down the problem, with everything that we have going on in our life, we tend to get forgetful. We be like, man, I have to take care of this, or I have to take care of that. But when we write it down, right, we actually are now saying it's a mental thought. We know that this is an issue, And now I'm going to actually put this on paper or in our phones or in our tablets or whatever. We're going to write it down. So now we can actually see it also, because it's one thing to just think of, oh, it's a problem, but there's a totally different thing, and the effect that it has on the body and our minds and our hearts when we see it on paper, or we see it written down, or we write it down ourselves. So writing it down, the thing that you're trying to be held accountable for, what you want to hold yourself accountable for. So now you writing it down, you taking the steps and saying, okay, it's this thing here with my mental health. I want to hold myself more accountable. It's this thing here with my finances. I want to hold myself more accountable. It's my relationships with maybe a spouse, a parent, a child. It's this thing here with my business. I want to hold myself more accountable for. It's this thing here with my spirituality. I want to hold myself more accountable for. So now you write these different categories and these different areas of your life down so we can actually see where we are, and we are having this conversation to ourselves so we can be honest with ourselves. Understand accountability, us holding ourselves accountable, is us being honest with ourselves. The last thing that we want to do is lie to ourselves, because I promise you, if you lie to yourself, it's going to be so easy to lie to others. And so now taking these steps is going to help you to cross over that bridge and to actually getting to the place or the space that you want to be in. So the second step that we want to take with holding ourselves more accountable, we want to actually think of 7 different things that we can do to solve the problem. I'm going to say that one more time. We want to think of 7 different things we can do to solve the problem. And why do I say 7? Because there are 7 days in a week. So for 7 days, you write down each single thing for each category. You're now saying, I'm going to try this for 7 different things. All right, in each category, I'm going to take these steps. So for finances, for example, say Monday, I'm going to look at how I can start budgeting more. Tuesday, I'm going to look at how I can start saving a little more. Wednesday, I'm going to look at how I could be investing a little more. Thursday, do you understand? You're going to do this for each single category and whatever it is that you're trying to be holding yourself accountable for. And I promise you, when you do these steps, you are going to become a more solution-oriented person. And because you're trying to hold yourself more accountable, you want to think of more solutions than you want to do problems. Because guess what? The problem isn't going anywhere. The reason why the problem is there, it doesn't matter when we're holding ourselves accountable. How it got to this place, it doesn't matter. But when we start saying, I'm going to do this because I'm holding myself more accountable, now we're going to actually start looking for more solutions. We're not going to think about what's not working. We're not going to think about what we're good at, what we have been doing, what we're constantly doing. See, listen, it's so many times that we just be like, oh man, but I'm doing this. Oh, but I just did this over there. Oh, look at all the other stuff that I'm doing. But again, understand, you are holding yourself more accountable. I do this stuff myself. I think about the things that I'm not doing. I think about the things that I'm not good at. Because nobody is going to get traded off the team for what you are good at. I promise you, people get traded off teams because what they are not improving in, what they're not good at. Nobody cares that, and I'm not going to say nobody cares, but yes, you're good at this, which is awesome. That's a great thing that you do that. But what is it that you don't do? So for an example, what about your relationship with your family? You might say, oh, I have the family over. I cook for them. I take time out for them. But they're still finding something. They got something to complain about. And listen, I promise you, some people just always got a complaint. That's not what I'm talking about. But there may be something that there is a valid reason why they keep bringing it up. So they're not negating the other stuff that you do. So start looking at what it is that you're not doing. So if they're constantly saying, hey, you don't really call all that time, or I don't really talk to you that much, they ain't negating that you don't spend time with them. But what they're saying is you don't talk to them. Y'all don't conversate as much. Y'all don't communicate all the time. And they're saying that they would like for it to be better. So instead of just talking about what you are good at, what it is that you do, start looking at what you don't do and start saying, okay, how can I improve my communication with this person? Okay, let me start being more interested in them. That's an easy way to do it. Let me start asking them questions about them. Let me ask them not just how their day was. Let me ask them how they're feeling. Is it anything that's on their mind that they might want to talk about? And it's not saying that you can relieve their problem. It's saying that you're actually taking the time and the steps to communicate more frequently with them because they said that's what the problem was. So if that's what the problem is, now again, for 7 days, you're going to think of 7 different ways that you can improve in each category that you're trying to actually hold yourself more accountable for. And what's the third thing that we can do so we can actually hold ourselves more accountable? The third thing that we can do is be willing to accept honesty from others. And when I say honesty, sometimes we just don't want to hear what people have to say about us on a negative side. And I'm not talking people that just, they just got something negative to say. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is people are just genuinely being honest and saying, hey, you could be doing this better. We just dismiss it so fast, we don't want to hear it. So the first thing we do is we attack them. And that's not holding ourselves accountable. Stop attacking others. So again, I say, be willing to accept the honesty of other people and their opinion and their viewpoint towards you in whatever area. So accepting that honesty means you have to ask them, hey, what it is that you think I could do better in this category. I'm trying to hold myself more accountable. So in this category of my life, what do you think, or what's your honest viewpoint towards me in this area? So if it's finances, you could easily ask your friends, your spouses, your family, your kids, hey, do you think I spend too much money? Do you think I look for deals? Do you think that I'm frugal? Do you think that I'm cheap? Do you think that I look for bargain? Ask these questions and say, hey, I'm only asking this because I'm trying to hold myself more accountable so I can do better in this area of my life. So I want your honest views. I don't want you to tell me what you think I want to hear. And that's going to get into the next point. The fourth thing is we have to be willing to stop hearing what we want to hear and start hearing what we need to hear. And see, understand When we're not willing to hear what we need to hear, guess what? We are not looking for ways to improve because it's too hard. As people always say, the truth hurts, right? But it's not that the truth hurts. It's we would have hoped that the reality was something different. And so now when we hear the reality, we don't want to accept it. So sometimes we dismiss it and we say, I'm going to push back. I'm not going to take the road that is giving me more resistance. I'm going to take the road with least resistance. And why do we take the road with least resistance? The reason that we do that is because the road with least resistance is easy. And understand, I promise you, you do not get stronger by not taking the road with resistance. You get stronger by taking the road that is going to give you resistance. Resistance creates strength because it's going to help you grow. And so understand, when we constantly are just looking for cheerleaders, people to constantly, root us on and not necessarily tell us what we need to hear. Everything is, what I want to hear, what I want to hear, what I want to hear. That's going to make me feel good. That doesn't help us hold ourselves accountable. So that's the fourth thing that we actually need to do. So understand, when we're trying to hold ourselves more accountable, we have to look for all of these different ways to improve. Now, what does accountability even mean when it comes to getting to the next level? Accountability, when it comes to getting to the next level, it means that what got us to this place, even in good ways, what got us here to this next level or where we are in life is not going to take us to the next level. So understand, the things that got you here is not going to take you to the next level. It's going to keep you where you are. So you have to hold yourself accountable to get to the next level, to look for ways to improve. So now that brings me to my next and fifth point. My fifth point is reevaluate and reassess each time you improve. Every single time you start doing better, every single time you get to the level that you're trying to reach, reassess, re-improve. Look for ways to improve. And the reason why is because it's going to allow you to continue to have room for growth. When we just continue to keep looking at, this is where I'm at right now. I'm good. Things is cool. It's sweet. But I promise you, that's going to keep you there. So what got you here is going to also keep you there. So understand that, and you don't want to stay there, because even staying at the place that you're at, that you got on a good side, that can even start to turn stale. So understand, by continuing to hold yourself accountable each time you make some improvements. So now you're saying, okay, I done got here. All right, I'm maintaining this here. Now I have to hold myself accountable to not just stay here at this place. Because understand, just like water, it is good when it's pure, but if it's sitting too long, it gets stale and stagnant, and it's no longer of benefit. So we don't want to stay at the same place too long, because it's going to become stale. It's going to get stagnant, and it's not going to be of a benefit to us anymore. And so we don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen to you. And so these are some of the things that we can actually do to hold ourselves more accountable. Understand There is greatness within you. And so by holding yourself accountable, taking these steps, looking for self-improvement, self-development, it is going to help you not only know that you're great, it's going to help you to continue to be great. And so, right? And my moment that I had is I can remember, 15 years ago, my daughter was just a baby, right? And, me and her mom, we taking her to go and get her shots. And while we're in there, we're waiting, we get called into the back. And they're like, yeah, we just got to get the routine shots and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. And I'm like, all right, I want to, record this and document it and put it on my phone. And so my daughter, and it's so crazy because my daughter, they put the needle in, and she looking at me and I'm looking at her, and she didn't cry when they put the needle in. I'm like, all right, my baby kind of tough. And she just looking at me like, I'm good, Dad. Now, mind you, she's a baby. But, our kids, we can feel them. We have a connection with our kids, right? And they put the needle in, and she looked at me, and her mom holding her, and she ain't moved. And then the lady, the nurse started pushing the medicine in, and then she looked up at me, and then looked down at that needle, and then looked at me, and started bawling, crying, like, ah. And I don't know what it is in me that I started laughing. I have no clue. I don't know why, but I thought it was hilarious that she was like, seemed like she was just trying to be tough for me. And then she just was like, I can't hold it in no more. And she bawling, crying, and her mom is, stop laughing at my daughter, and this, that, the third. Now, mind you, I'm holding my phone, recording this. So I thought, for whatever reason, the phone would not record. I kept hitting the end button, trying to record that joke again, because she had to get like 2 shots. And it kept doing it. It would not record for anything. I had one of those old Sprint flip phones that had the camera on the other side. Man, listen, I promise you that joker did that. It was just like, not today. Soon as we left out of there, guess what? The camera started recording. I was like, look, it wasn't meant to be to hold that footage. But I got it mentally, though. And so that's one of my moments. I know my daughter would be mad at me when I tell this story, but hey.
You're in control of how you feel. You're in control. You are the determining factor of your feelings. No one else can control how you feel. Remember, you're in control of how you feel. So control your feelings.